Hello, my dear children. The topic of today's class is diffraction of waves. Children, we have been studying this diffraction since class 6. So, initially in our class today, we'll recapitulate all what we have studied in junior classes. Thereafter, we'll study diffraction as superposition of waves. So, let's know what we have already studied. Well, diffraction is defined as bending of light across the edges of an obstacle. This is what the definition we start with when we study this for the first time. So what is diffraction? Diffraction is bending of light across the edges of an obstacle. So when the light falls over the edge of an obstacle, it doesn't travel straight. It deviates from its path, and this is what is called as diffraction of light. Well, diffraction violates a rectilinear propagation of light principle. Let us see that with the help of this very simple experiment and very popular experiment you have studied in your junior classes. Well, we have a point source. This is an obstacle, an opaque obstacle, and this is screen. The light from this point source is falling over this opaque obstacle. Remember, this is opaque. Falling over this opaque obstacle, light cannot move through this obstacle. Well, the light which hits the edges, how many points are there over edges? There are infinite points. So when light falls over the edges of an obstacle, that light, after falling over this particular point, say, doesn't travel straight. It travels in all directions. It travels in all directions. It travels like this, and it also travels like this. So likewise, from each and every point over the obstacle, the light travels in all directions. The light bends and travels in all directions. This way. So this light which moves into this region of geometrical shadow, well, this object is, say, circular. It is a circular disc. So the image should be a circular disc. But what happens? The light which hits the edges of the obstacle does not travel straight. It deviates from its path, and in the process, it moves into the region of geometrical shadow. And as it moves into the region of geometrical shadow, the region where there should have been no light, had the light been traveling straight, there also the light reaches. So what do we see in the shadow? In the shadow we see there are two portions of the image. One portion, which is the centermost portion, is umbra, which is the darkest one. This is the darkest part of the image, which is called umbra, and the surrounding this umbra is what? Less dark. This region is less dark. Why it is less dark? Because some light penetrates into this region after bending across the edges. So this bending takes place across each and every point of this edge of an obstacle. And as the light which moves into the geometrical shadow creates this penumbra. And the light which moves into this region, which is already lighted up, this region beyond this geometrical shadow, the region is already lighted up by this source. So the light moving into this region, the light which bends and moves into this region doesn't change any intensity here. Remember, the intensity of the light which deviates across the edges of an obstacle is very, very small. So this very small intensity do create some effect here, makes this region of the shadow less dark, but this region of the outer part of the screen, outer part of this geometrical shadow remains as bright as it were. So this umbra and penumbra. Umbra is the region where the light is not able to reach after bending. So there are two portions in the image, umbra and penumbra. Remember children, this umbra and penumbra are not always found by diffraction. They are also found by overlapping of images. If there are two point sources, there would be two images of the same obstacle and these images overlap. If there are 3 point sources, then there would be 3 images of this particular obstacle, and these images may overlap. So because of overlapping of images, also umbras and penumbras are created. But if we have a point source, and then umbra and penumbra which are created are exclusively because of diffraction of light. So in this diffraction, well, this separation between source and obstacle is d1, and the separation between obstacle and screen is d2. So there are 3 elements required for any diffraction experiment. Number 1, source; number 2, obstacle; and number 3, screen. So children, whatever we have studied in our junior classes, that is going to be restated in some sophisticated language. And what is that? That is encroachment of light, or in general wave. Encroachment of waves in the region of geometrical shadow of an obstacle is called diffraction. Now beyond this is what is the topic of the day. Well, diffracted light, the light which hits the edges of an obstacle, deviates from its path. That is called diffracted light. That diffracted light superpose over each other. Diffracted rays from edges, from various points over edges. And remember, each and every point is what? A coherent source. So the light which diffracts from the obstacle, the edges of an obstacle, superpose over each other, and because of superposition, an alternate arrangement of maximas and minimas is created, and this alternate arrangement of maxima and minima is called as diffraction pattern. Like an interference pattern, there are 2 coherent sources, and because of the superposition of waves from the 2 coherent sources, an alternate arrangement of maximas and minimas is created. That is called interference pattern. Here also, the light which is diffracted from the edge, from various points over the edge of an obstacle, superpose over each other. Somewhere it meets constructively, and somewhere it meets what? Destructively. So wherever these rays meet in same phase, well, maxima is formed there, and wherever they meet in opposite phase, minima is formed there. That way, an alternate arrangement of maxima and minima is created, and that is what is called as diffraction pattern. How is that diffraction pattern formed? We'll study in detail. But here is graphical representation of what is there in diffraction pattern. In diffraction pattern, we have the intensity of, this is central maxima. Central maxima has maximum intensity, and the intensity of higher order maximas decreases very rapidly to 0. This is central bright band, this is first bright band, this is second bright band, this is first bright band on the other side, and second bright band. In between these bright bands, we have dark band number 1, dark band number 2, dark band number 1 this side, and dark band number 2 this side. So what is difference between interference and diffraction pattern? In interference pattern, all maximas are equally bright. All these maximas are of equal intensity, and all minimas are equally dark. But in diffraction pattern, central maxima is brightest, and the intensity of higher order maximas decreases very rapidly to 0. And also, number of higher order of maximas is very limited, but there is no limit to number of maximas in case of interference. Children, we already know that for any diffraction experiment, 3 elements are required, and these 3 elements are what? We need source, we need what? Obstacle. Obstacle is called as diffracting element, and then we need what? Screen. So depending upon the relative separation between source and diffracting element and screen, diffraction is of 2 different types. There are 2 classes of diffraction, and these 2 classes of diffractions are what? Fresnel's class of diffraction, and the other one is what? Fraunhofer's class of diffraction. Fresnel's class and Fraunhofer class of diffraction. So what is the difference between the 2? See, in Fresnel's class, this is source, this is diffracting element, and this is screen. This separation between source and diffracting element is D1, and the separation between diffracting element, that is obstacle, and screen is what? D2. So in Fresnel's class, D1 and D2 are finite and small. Whereas in Fraunhofer's class of diffraction, the source and diffracting elements are practically at infinite separation. Source is kept at infinity from diffracting element, and then screen is also kept at infinity from diffracting elements. So D1 is infinite, D2 is infinite distance. So both these distances which are finite here in Fresnel's class, in Fraunhofer class, D1 and D2 are what? Infinite. Well, in Fresnel's class, since this separation is finite, therefore the incident wavefront, this is point source, the waves come out and they fall like this over the diffracting element. So what is incident wavefront? Incident wavefront is spherical in shape. Whereas in Fraunhofer class of diffraction, incident wavefront is a parallel planar wavefront. Parallel planar wavefront. And children, we have this class of diffraction in our syllabus, and we'll study this in detail. So children, this was an introduction to diffraction of waves. We'll study Fraunhofer's class of diffraction in detail. So in the next class, we'll study diffraction due to Fraunhofer diffraction due to single slit. For the time being, this is all. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.